Hello everyone, welcome to another video by Planner UK. Today I wanted to talk about the Hobonichi Weeks, which I absolutely love, and I want to talk about the things that have worked for me and that really haven't worked for me this year, and how I'm going to change that for 2020. So this year I actually had two Hobonichi Weeks. I had my functional work unpretty Hobonichi Weeks, which is this red one here in this clear cover on cover, and I also had what I call my pretty weeks, which was more a personal weeks, and I enjoyed making it look very pretty and using lots of kits and stickers, and I suppose it was more of a personal Hobonichi Weeks. That was my main use for it. So first of all, I think I'll talk about the things that didn't work for me. One of the first things is I didn't use at the front, I didn't really use properly the yearly overview or the monthly overview. I think I could have used that a lot better in my pretty weeks. You'll see that I did decorate them and use some really gorgeous monthly kits, but again I didn't really put much detail in there, which obviously some months I've put more detail, as you can see, and it looks really good, and I think it's a really good visual at a glance kind of guide to the month. So I think I would benefit from using it, but it's just for some reason I didn't use it. I think I was scared of putting things in that might change, and so I just ended up leaving it blank and just relying on the weekly kind of pages. But yeah, I think they look absolutely fantastic with these sticker kits in particular, but even with a bit of washi or even just minimal, I think I should just use them more, and I think I would get a lot out of doing that. So that's the first thing that didn't really work for me. The other thing that didn't work for me on the whole is the notes pages. Although it was great that I could just write notes on the go and I had that space available to me, I should have been a lot more organised and a lot neater maybe. This is obviously my work Hobonichi Weeks, so it was quite messy, but I think that I should have grouped things together a bit more, like had collections, maybe use some washi tape to differentiate the different pages or some tabs, or even just at the start the pages are numbered, so I could even have just used like an index setup a bit better. It is all higgledy-piggledy, so I jump between different ideas and different notes and notes on books that I've read and my 40 things I want to do before I'm 40, and it's just a bit higgledy-piggledy and messy, and it didn't really have a kind of focus and structure which I generally like. So I'm definitely going to improve on that for 2020 and make it a lot better. And there's a lot of information here that actually is probably quite relevant that I do need to move across, but it's so higgledy-piggledy. I need to work out what I need to copy over or what collections I need to start. So I think obviously I'll leave the first few pages so that I've got plenty of space to do an index in my new Hobonichi Weeks and go from there really. So I think the other thing as well that didn't work for me, unfortunately, although I love the weeks, when I'm using it as, or trying to use it as a work planner like I was doing here, it didn't really work for me, mainly because I felt like I didn't have enough space, so I didn't really record my full to-do list in here. I'd maybe do like a brain dump in my bullet journal, or, you know, go to something else to kind of list out my tasks. How I tried to use it is the tasks that were due on that particular day I kind of wrote down here, and then the weekly tasks that needed doing I kind of wrote down the side. But as I say, because it was so small, I didn't always do that very well, and I think things got lost because it was so small and I was trying to write really small and so forth. So for me, that's why I've decided this year that my weeks can't be my work planner. I still will use a weeks, and it will be like, I suppose, like my diary that I take around everywhere with me. But I've got a much bigger setup using my BizGrid, which is a Japanese planner, which I'll use as my work functional planner. So as you can see, this was very messy. But I don't mind that, you know, in my functional planner, it's about getting things done. It's not about how pretty it looks. So I think now I will move on to the things that did actually work for me. One of the things that I liked is I don't really know if you can call it a vision board. It was more like a motivational setup at the start of my weeks, which I quite liked seeing, and it kind of cheered me up, and there were some quotes that I really identify with, and it looks quite messy but quite pretty, and I quite like that. So I am definitely using that. I already have that set up in my 2020 weeks, so I quite like that. The other thing that worked well for me, I found, and I'm going to be using in my 2020 weeks, is I did a bit of a month in review. So each month I put what I learned, notable events, what made me mad, sad, grateful for, achievements looking forward to, and obviously there's not that much space, but I just could jot down some notes of things to kind of summarise that month, and I thought that worked really well for me. I'm definitely going to leave the space and get that set up in my new 2020 planner. And I thought the headings worked really well, again, just as a quick summary. So, and yeah, it just looked quite pretty. It was an excuse to use different coloured pens and washi tape, but it wasn't anything that was too onerous. So I did like that. The other thing that I found useful, I'm a massive fountain pen lover and fountain pen user. So I had like a currently inked page where I listed my fountain pens. I've got lots of different fountain pens, a lot of cheap fountain pens, a few mid-range and a few more expensive fountain pens, and I do keep a lot of fountain pens inked up because I do like to use a lot of different coloured inks, and I do use them on a daily basis, so they don't just sit around, they do get used. So I do like to keep track of the inks that I have within my pens, and I do like a subscription service for inks so that I get to try a lot of different ones. I get a lot of little tiny sample pots. I think I get 6 sent to me every month, which is great because you just get a little sample of different inks and you can find the ones that you really like. So I always forget, obviously, what I have inked in what pen. So this was a quick kind of overview that I did. So at a glance, I can look at a pen and see what I currently have in that pen. Now, this obviously is very messy, so I think there's a better way of doing this, but the sentiment behind it and the recording of the different inks of the different pens, I definitely want to do something similar. So that definitely is one thing that I will keep. The other thing that's quite a simple thing that I did in my functional weeks, but it really did help me, is whenever there was a school holidays, so whenever my children were off school or I needed to make arrangements for alternative childcare, I just placed some washi tape down the side of that week so I could see at a glance, maybe not to schedule meetings, as many meetings in, or I just needed to be aware of childcare times and so forth. So that is definitely something that I will take over to my new Hobonichi Weeks in 2020. So I found that really useful. I also did that. I tried to do that here as well on the yearly overview. I did try to highlight here as well the school holidays and so forth, and use a few different symbols for things like when we were running events and other things that I should note, birthdays and so forth. So, and again here I tried to highlight the school holidays in the yearly overview as well, so that's definitely something that I will keep, but I think I could do it a bit better, and it maybe obviously looks a bit messy in this one. So I followed that washi tape idea even in my monthlies as well, in this planner. So again, I think that really helped to give like a visual overview of school holidays. And actually when we were away on holiday ourselves, I did that in a different colour washi tape. That's when we were away snowboarding. So I will definitely continue to use that idea. I think the other thing that worked for me, I really like in the weeks that I could make it as pretty or as minimal as I wanted it to be. So in my pretty weeks, as I mentioned, I generally use quite a lot of stickers, quite a lot of kits. It looks very pretty. It's like a creative outlet for me, I suppose. It just makes me feel happy looking at it and kind of flicking through. Obviously there's so many beautiful sticker kits out there, so many talented shop owners that are creating beautiful, beautiful stickers. So obviously I loved using them. And I don't think it bulked it up ridiculously too much either. So I did like that. But then there's obviously some weeks when I've kept it quite minimal. This is just post-it notes and a little bit of washi and a few stickers. So they don't always have to be kits. Sometimes they're more random stickers that I've used. Sometimes I have kept it very minimal. This is a very minimal week. Sometimes it's mostly writing. So I do love that you can do whatever you want to do, whatever you feel like doing for that week, whether you want to keep it minimal, whether you want it to be beautiful. It just adapts. I quite like the simplicity sometimes of just keeping it really, really simple, or even having nothing. Obviously this is my functional work planner. It's not really that important to me that it does have decoration, although it does help to cheer the week up. The other thing that worked really well for me is this thin washi tape. So it helped me divide up like my appointments and my to-do list for that day, and kind of differentiate when the weekend is as well. So yeah, it's just nail tape. I think I got it from AliExpress and it was very cheap. But that's something that I've kind of got out of the habit of using, but I think I will use that again because that did really work. And this is just a thin washi tape that I used to do the same. It does just help divide it up and keep it a little bit more organised. The other thing that has really worked for me is using ollie clips. These are a fantastic, really simple invention. They just look like this. This is the large size. Obviously I've got a smaller size as well, and they just are magnetic. But in the Hobonichi Weeks, I find that it works really well because I generally keep the ollie clip on the current week, which is here, and then onto the monthly, the relevant kind of monthly setup as well. So at a glance you can move to the correct week and the correct month, and obviously, as I say, I've not really used the monthlies this time, but next year I will definitely be doing that, so that will really help to keep me organised. So that really works. The other thing that has really worked for me is having this zipped case that I've mentioned before by Galen Leather. it just helps to protect my weeks, and I can just chuck it in my bag. As you can see, the case is getting quite scuffed now, but I don't really mind that. It's obviously held up really well, and at least you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry, because it's zipped, about the pages getting crumpled up and so forth. So yeah, I'll definitely be continuing to use that in 2020. And then I think the other thing that has really worked for me, which I've already touched on really, is just having this, using the bullet journal method almost within my planner. So although I felt like I didn't have enough space, it just proves that you don't have to have a bullet journal to kind of use the bullet journal method. So I am old school in the bullet journal method that I use. I think originally when Ryder Carroll came out with the bullet journal method, he suggested that you should use boxes and colour in the boxes when you've done a task. But obviously now he's changed that to make it quicker and suggests that you have a dot, and obviously then change the symbol of the dot when you've obviously completed it or moved it. So, but I am old school. I like colouring in the boxes. So although I use the bullet journal method, the symbols that I use are slightly different perhaps to what you may use if you've only found the bullet journal method more recently. So, but that gives a real visual overview for me of what I need to do, what I've done, what I haven't done, what I've obviously transferred forwards or backwards. So yeah, I am a massive lover of the Hobonichi Weeks. I am really looking forward to using this Sneaker Mega Weeks in 2020 in Raspberry. Although this has a soft cover, so I've only ever had hard covers before, so it will be interesting to see how it holds up. But like I mentioned, I have already started my motivational kind of vision board in the front, and I haven't done too much in here yet, but I need to set it up fully ready for the year ahead. And in this one, because I'm just going to have one Hobonichi Weeks this year, there will be a complete mix. Some weeks will have sticker kits, some will just use washi tape, some will be very minimal and just be writing. But I'll just go with the flow, and it will probably depend on how much time I have that week and how creative and inspired I'm feeling, really. I hope that you liked hearing about some of the things that have worked and the things that haven't worked for me in my Hobonichi Weeks. I'd love to hear what works for you and what doesn't work for you, or what you might be doing differently in 2020. I am going to do another video on some of the hacks that I use in my Hobonichi Weeks, so that will be coming up very soon. If you enjoyed this video, if you are a planner lover, a stationery lover, a Hobonichi lover, please do subscribe so that you get notified about my future videos. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. See you soon.